Darkseid versus Knull. Two of the most powerful villains we've ever seen. Two of the biggest and baddest forces in all of comics. And today, well, they're going at it against each other. So in a fight between the two, well, who's ultimately coming out on top? Who's gonna win it all? Well, let's get into it. Before the universe, in the infinite void of darkness, there existed one solitary creature. This was Knull, ruler of the darkness and shadow, the king in black. Awakened by the light, when the Celestials invaded his kingdom of darkness, he created the first symbiote in the form of a sword and decapitated one of them. Banished by the Celestials' first actions, Knull used the fallen Celestial's decapitated head as a forge to refine his blade, naming it All Black the Necro Sword. Slaughtering his way across the cosmos, Knull has been a terror ever since, even creating armies of powerful symbiotes as a way to corrupt the light. Knull is without a doubt one of the strongest and most powerful villains in the Marvel Universe. I mean, he's been able to one-shot and defeat Celestials, who, they themselves, are some of the most powerful beings in Marvel. He's been able to slaughter entire armies of gods. He's absolutely manhandled the Silver Surfer. Knull is powerful enough to overpower Odin Force King Thor and straight up rip the Sentry in half. He is seriously strong. And for just as strong as Knull is, he's also just as tough. The guy is pretty much impossible to stop or put down in any fight. I mean, Knull has straight up survived the Big Bang before. He's taken planet-level blasts from Ego the Living Planet. Silver Surfer has even thrown an entire star at him, and he's been just fine. And sure, Knull has been injured by the likes of Thor, or Surfer, or Venom with the Enigma Force, but the kicker is that he's still been able to come back from pretty much everything every single time. Even when Venom cast him into the sun and straight up atomized him, well, it seems like not even that was enough to kill Knull for forever. And since Knull is the god of the symbiotes, obviously he has some incredible symbiotic powers. He can instantly create symbiotes at will, even creating an entire planet of symbiotes during his battle with Silver Surfer. He can create them in an instant, restrain powerful heroes with his tentacles. He's even able to use the symbiotes to take over enemies and opponents and force them to be under his control. And then there's the most powerful symbiote of them all, the Necro Sword. When other people have wielded this sword, well, they've been able to kill countless gods and celestials. Gore was able to use it to battle against 3 Thors at once. Thor used it to defeat Galactus of all people. It's also killed Ego the Living Planet. And none of that was the sword's max potential, as in the hands of its true master, Knull, the god of the symbiotes, well, the sword is even more powerful and even more devastating than it is with anyone else. And if that's the stuff it's able to do with other people, well, just imagine what Knull can do with the sword in his hands. There's definitely a reason why Knull has quickly transcended it to becoming one of the most dangerous and terrifying villains in the Marvel Universe. Darkseid. He's the supreme monarch of the planet Apocalypse, the Justice League's worst adversary, the greatest enemy of New Genesis, and one of the biggest threats to the DC multiverse as a whole. He seeks to bend everything to his will and remake the cosmos in his image, all while searching for the anti-life equation, an equation that consists of immense power and potential to dominate all life in the DC multiverse. But just how powerful is this villain really? Could he possibly be the most powerful villain in all of DC? Let's get into it. Well, for starters, obviously one of the best things going for Darkseid in a fight is that he's ridiculously strong. He's got absolute godlike strength, pimp-slapping Alan Scott with the power of all of Earth's avatars and a connection to the multiverse itself, or staggering a fully powered Zeus without even coming close to his own full power. He's even fought against the High Father, the ruler of the new gods, for 7 days and 7 nights straight, completely destroying the planet in the process. And just look at all his fights against Superman. While for the most part they've been relatively matched, there have been quite a few times where Darkseid has just absolutely destroyed Superman in some of their fights, or taken him down with just 1 or 2 hits. In one of their fights, Superman and Darkseid were shaking the Tartarus star system. While it's impressive to just shake a star system, this star system also existed inside the sphere of the gods. So it's possible that this star system is absolutely massive, because in the sphere of the gods, just planets like Apocalypse and New Genesis are the size of galaxies. Darkseid has been able to beat up Eclipso, a universal threat. He himself is a universe buster and is able to destroy whole universes. And there's his fight against the Anti-Monitor. The Anti-Monitor in the New 52 is the same as the Anti-Monitor in Crisis on Infinite Earths, meaning that he's able to consume universes and has destroyed universes countless times over. Yet Darkseid is able to slug it out with this guy all on his own, and they're evenly matched in terms of strength and power. And just like Darkseid is impressively strong, he's also impressively tough. He can just simply walk through attacks from the Justice League no problem. He can survive planets being destroyed around him. Remember his fight with Alan Scott, where he was fully connected to the multiverse? Well, Alan Scott finally stopped holding back and hit him with everything he had, the force of all planet Earths in the multiverse, and Darkseid was still able to pick himself up and keep standing. He's taken all sorts of attacks from the Anti-Monitor. He survived dimensions and universes collapsing around him, bombs that can rip apart all of existence. Darkseid has even been reduced to just a pile of ashes by the Spectre, the literal wrath of God, and instantly regenerated. Then of course there's the Omega effect. Darkseid has complete and total control over his Omega beams, meaning that he can lock it onto a target and follow them around wherever. They're powerful enough to hurt Superman, hurt the Anti-Monitor, and hurt Superman some more. And if Darkseid so chooses, they're able to completely erase anyone they hit, completely erase them from existence altogether. Then Darkseid can also unleash the Omega Sanction, one of Darkseid's deadliest abilities. If you're hit by it, you become trapped in an infinite number of realities and lifetimes, and in each one, you will always die, come back, and then die again, forever and ever and for always. And here's the kicker, for as powerful as all of this is, and it already cements Darkseid as one of the ultimate powerhouses in DC Comics, well, all of it was done by the avatars of Darkseid. That's right, I'm talking about true form Darkseid. Now, for a long time, true Darkseid was just seen as a myth, something that a bunch of fanboys created on battle forums to make sure that their favorite Lord Darkseid never lost a fight again. But in reality, true Darkseid has always been there, since the days of Jack Kirby. You kinda just needed to know where to look for him. See, Jack Kirby created the new gods to be platonic concepts, with Darkseid meant to be the platonic concept of evil, to represent all the darkness of the reader themselves. That was always the original goal, but it's really only been recent times when Grant Morrison wrote Final Crisis and made the map of the multiverse that all the pieces kind of snapped into place. We got to see the full picture as intended. So let's start with this. Darkseid is a new god and the ruler of Apocalypse, but the universe where the new gods exist isn't actually a regular universe, but instead exists outside of the DC multiverse altogether. It exists inside the sphere of the gods, or the fourth world, and outside of the normal multiverse, or even space-time. So in order for a god like Darkseid to enter into the multiverse, they need to use an avatar, because their true forms can destroy reality. Because remember, like we said, new gods are living concepts. You can't try and cram a 4D concept into a 3D world and just hope that it won't shatter all reality. And so that means that Darkseid is constantly using avatars to operate in comics. Whenever you see the typical rock golem monster, that's really just a vessel for his power. So that means every time he fought Superman, or fought the Justice League, or really whatever, it was just really his avatar. His true form looks more like this and is multiversal in power. Like, let me give you an example. When Darkseid is actually on his deathbed in the sphere of the gods, it was falling from way up there down into the DC multiverse, while he was casting a gigantic shadow that was threatening to destroy the multiverse altogether, or create a singularity that again was threatening to destroy the entire multiverse. And then when Darkseid has revealed his true power in the actual DC multiverse, well, he was capable of literally one-shotting the Quintessence, characters who are the highest order of beings in the multiverse. This group consists of Ganthet, Hera, Highfather, Phantom Stranger, the Wizard, and Spectre. And those are some seriously powerful characters. I mean, Ganthet is one of the guardians of the universe. Hera is the queen of all the Greek gods. The Wizard is the thunder god and the source of Shazam's powers. Highfather is another new god, Darkseid's brother, and is the ruler of New Genesis. The Phantom Stranger is one of the most powerful magical beings in existence. And the Spectre is the literal will of God's vengeance and judgment. These are all the beings that Darkseid took out with one attack. He's that powerful. And that's not the only multiversal being that Darkseid's gone up against. Like, he's fought against Tartarus, who's basically DC's version of Thanos. And even though Tartarus was amped up with 8 rings of the ancient spectrum, sound a little familiar? Well, Darkseid was able to easily defeat him. So yeah, all that, safe to say Darkseid is powerful. Darkseid is evil. Darkseid is. So who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, both of these villains are seriously powerful. Like, seriously powerful. For example, Knull is an eldritch god of darkness, born from the primordial void that existed between the 6th and 7th cosmos, and Knull claims dominion over the void to be its avatar. But while Knull is the god of the void, he's not actually the primordial darkness itself. Doesn't mean that Knull isn't seriously powerful though. I mean, the guy can one-shot Celestials. And not just one-shot them, but he's also able to enslave them and add them into his symbiote army. That's insanely impressive. I mean, even if the Celestials aren't quite as powerful as the big main ones, even if they're fodder Celestials, well, they're still gotta be crazy powerful. Odin, Zeus, other Skyfathers couldn't even harm a Celestial. And Odin and Zeus are able to pull off some multiversal feats. So like Knull toying with any Celestial is very impressive. Knull is so mighty that even one of his creations, All Black the Necrosword, contained enough power inside of it could corrupt Galactus or empower Gore to the point where he could battle 3 different versions of Thor at once, including a Thor as powerful as Odin himself. And yeah, Knull has been pressed in fights by Silver Surfer or Thor before, but it's not like Darkseid hasn't been equally pressed in fights by Superman, so that's not something just exclusive to Knull. And if you want to scale up Knull to his best, well, being a king in black is meant to be an opposite to the Beyonder, the kings in white. And while they work and tend to the multiverse from the outside, the king in black is meant to work from inside the multiverse. That was the job the Celestials were recruiting Knull for. He didn't want it, and so he slaughtered them. Of course, Knull doesn't have the feats or showings to actually say that he's on par with Beyonder, but it's clear that this is what he's meant to be. While this means that Knull is truly insanely powerful, if you're scaling him up to his best, you gotta do the same with Darkseid. And Darkseid is still just a slight class above, like to the point where Darkseid's death and his body falling was enough to threaten to destroy the multiverse. Not even something that Darkseid did or intended to do. Just the aftermath of his death was a multiversal threat. He's one-shot the quintessence, the highest order of beings in the entire DC multiverse. And among their ranks was the Spectre, who has previously been able to contend with the Anti-Monitor in a fight that rewrote the multiverse. And that's just one brief thing. Darkseid has plenty of other showings on this level. Knull is definitely formidable, he's definitely powerful, but Darkseid is meant to be the embodiment of all evil and hate everywhere, even in you, the reader yourself. And he's just a hard villain to beat. It'll be a great fight, but ultimately, while the Lord of Apocalypse is coming out on top, Darkseid wins.